Yo, what up, everybody? Happy Friday. It's another episode of the Grid and Grind Show brought to you by the Off the Bench podcast. And we are getting to end the week with someone special, someone who has been in Grid for a hot minute. She is able to balance all things ownership, all things coaching, and all things player. I don't know how she does it, but she's also competing at Wodapalooza this weekend, and she's doing all that on top of being a life and motivation coach and all the other things that she's got going on in her life. But Bryleigh Hansen of the South Beach Palms will be joining us here in a second. But before she does, it's cold outside, and I got to make sure the heat stays on up in here. I got to make sure the light stays on. So I got to plug these sponsors so these bills can get paid. Chinook Seedery, whether you're on the field or in the boardroom signing deals, Chinook helps you get the job done. The best sunflower seeds in the game. College baseball season is upon us. The podcast is big on college baseball. We'll be out and about all over the country covering the games in the SEC and the ACC. So, we're going to be out. We're going to be having our bags. But I'm telling you, go to your local gas station, go to your local convenience store, go to your local grocery store, go to the snack aisle. And don't pretend like you don't know where the snack aisle is. Everybody knows where the snack aisle is. Pick up the best seeds in the game, Chinook Seeds. Memphis City Designs, get your brands, gear, and logos on everything from shoes to underoos. Get you in off the bench gear while supplies last. It's going hot, especially these hoodies in the cold weather. Make sure you're getting yours today. Relief Chiropractic. Go see my boy, Dr. Vic Robinson. He's got the magic hands. I've been, screaming his praises from the mountaintops because he's rejuvenating people. He's adding years to their lives. He's not going to put together some Mickey Mouse cookie cutter routine for you. He's going to bring you in for a free consult. He's going to assess you. He's going to tailor and prescribe and make a plan just for your needs. So go see him. And finally, Old Dominick Distillery. Experience 150 years of tradition in the heart of downtown Memphis. From bourbon to vodka, whiskey to gin, Old Dominick's got you covered. Stop in today for a tour or to pick up your favorite bottle. I'm going to be sipping a little bit tonight because it is cold and I got to make sure I stay hot. But speaking of hot, we got one of the hottest grid stars to ever come around. We've got South Beach Palm star Bryleigh Hansen. Help me welcome her onto the show. Bryleigh, what up?
Thank you. That was a fun welcome. Good intro.
Hey,
crush that.
I do what I can. I do what I can. That's I'm not the best at everything, but I'm pretty good at the intro. I will say that. I've done it a few times, but
I give you a 10.
I get. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I get nervous sometimes when I do these live opens because for some of the other shows on the network, we have like pre-recorded opens, but I don't know. I just like doing the cold read right off the top. So whatever it is, but you got a good one. We were good today.
Thank you. Yes, I enjoyed that. Nailed it.
So with you, obviously you've been around fitness for a really long time. You've been in Grid for, like I said, a hot minute for a bit now. But obviously you just don't fall into Grid or CrossFit or any of those things. So talk to me about your fitness journey. Were you an athlete growing up and you kind of fell into fitness that way, or was fitness something you found later in life?
No, I was an athlete my whole life. Gymnastics from the age of 4 till I was 18. So fitness has been my life since a little one. But then I actually kind of did just fall after my gymnastics career was over. I kind of did just stumble upon CrossFit through a friend. Tried it, puked my first workout. I said, cool, let's do it. And then as far as Grid goes, I lived in St. Pete at the time, and I had signed and then said, never mind, I'm actually moving to California. And then the coach was like, please just stay for the season. It's, whatever it was. The seasons were a lot shorter back then. Matches were like every weekend or every other weekend. South Conference, North Conference, South Conference, so kind of alternated. But I was like, fuck it, I'll stay for a season and then I'll move to California. And here I am. I'm still here now.
I mean, that coach must have begged hard because he's like, hey, Bryleigh, I need you to put your life on hold. Don't even worry about moving. You got to stay here. And you did. I mean, that's crazy. The podcast, we have a college gymnastics show. And I always, whenever I hear about gymnasts, especially at an early age, I always like to ask, what was the dedication like? Because the gymnasts that we interview are talking about, like, we're in the gym like 6 hours, 7 hours a day. We're homeschooling. We're doing these modified schedules. But for you, starting at 4, was that the case, or did you do traditional schooling, or how did all that work for you?
No, I mean, it was pretty much the same case. I did go to regular school. So like how it worked was like I was able to like opt out of all PE classes all throughout my school years because of gymnastics, like counted as that. But I actually did homeschool for 2 years in 6th and 7th grade. So yeah, it was like my schedule as a 6th and 7th grader was I trained from 7:30 to 10:30, homeschooled from about 11 to 2, and then I trained from 3:30 to 7:30. So
Man,
it was literally 7 hours a day of training and 3 hours of school. So yeah, it's wild. It's crazy. And it's if you are like serious about gymnastics, it's what the high level athletes do. It's crazy.
you have to. I have a 7-year-old, and so she is just started her level 1, 2 team,
Okay.
and it's like you talk to the parents and you're hearing like all these stories, and I'm like, holy moly, like one, I got to make more money, and two, I've got to figure out. Thankfully, I have a background in education, so if it comes up and homeschooling is the thing that we need to do, then I'm equipped to do that. But I couldn't imagine just like all the training, all that. But who knows? I might be right in the middle of that here soon.
Yeah. No.
Um,
Dedication as a parent is just as much as the kid. Like it's
oh
just as
man,
much on them. It's crazy.
it's a grind. It is
Yeah.
a grind.
Yeah.
But for you, obviously, you say I just kind of stumbled upon CrossFit. It's funny how that happens, right? Like most people that fall in love with CrossFit kind of stumble upon it. Everybody has their story for their first time of walking into a box and getting, just the shit beat out of them, and then going, oh, I love that. Let me go back. For you, was the transition from gymnastics into CrossFit, was it kind of a natural fit, or were there things that you found where you were like, man, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be, for me to like adapt my skills to CrossFit?
No, as a gymnast, it's extremely natural, right? All of the skills that take most people a very long time, like a high level gymnast will get up and be able to do on like the first and second try. So all of like the hard stuff is the easy stuff to gymnasts, right? Like all of the muscle ups, like I was able to do a ring muscle up first try, able to like all the bar muscle ups, like I'm able to get butterfly pull ups and chest to bar and all of that, like within a try or two. So the hard stuff as a good gymnast is the easy stuff. The hard stuff for me was like, okay, what the hell is a snatch and a clean,
You're the person where all the other members that have been there a little bit, they watch you walk in there, you hop up on a ring and you just fly yourself up there, and they're like, this fucking
Yeah.
girl right here, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Get the fuck out of
100%.
here.
100%.
That's, you were doing bar muscle ups probably, I mean, before bar muscle ups were even a thing. Like I know for when I started CrossFit, like getting on top of the bar outside of your chin or your chest hitting the bar, it was like unheard of. Like you just didn't do that. And now it's like become this staple movement that if you don't have it, like a good amount and a volume on the bar, then you're going to struggle, especially being a high level athlete in CrossFit.
Yeah. I was lucky though, because I found it forever ago. Like I've been doing CrossFit for 12 years now. So it was like when it just like started, it was like a couple, 2-3 years in. Right. So, I actually started CrossFit in November 2012, and I actually went to regionals in 2013. So like within a couple months of doing CrossFit, I like made it to regionals, right? But
people were really pissed at you.
Yeah, but regionals back then, like girls couldn't even do muscle ups. Like girls were getting their first muscle ups at regionals, So regionals, however you want to quote it, but yeah, I can say I've been to regionals twice, so it's kind of cool. Not now, but
that's shit. That's badass, because I remember when I started CrossFit, I went to regionals. I want to say it was in Palm Beach at the time, and it was, I think at that point it was like the Southeast Regional, and I mean you had a lot of the same athletes that you see, but for some reason I know Noah was in it and like big names, and I'm just trying to think. For whatever reason, I just remembered there was the Diane workout and Dan Bailey did it in like a minute. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Get out of here. But I fell in love with it because I enjoy deadlifts. I don't enjoy handstand push-ups as much, but I was like, man, that's just fascinating how
Yeah.
fast you can move and how much like skill it takes, not so much to do a deadlift, but to get upside down and press yourself up from your hands. But you obviously you have an illustrious career in fitness, no doubt. But for grid, there was this evolution of grid from MPGL to Florida Grid League to now the United Grid League. It's gone from this big grandiose stage to a more regional stage, and now it's starting to branch out outside of the state of Florida with teams in Atlanta and Houston and possibly another team somewhere. Hopefully that'll be determined soon. But with you, where did you find grid at on that continuum of evolution? Were you a fan of grid? Did you know about grid when it first, its first conception of the MPGL, or was this grid something you found when it, really got into Florida?
No, I actually did know about the MPGL because I was actually going to go. One of the girls that I used to train with at the gym when I lived in West Chase, she actually was going to do the combine, and I was going to go with her. And then I ended up, and I actually like practiced some of the tests. However, I don't even remember what they called them back then. But I actually practiced some of them, and I was going to go with her, and ended up not. So, but then I actually totally forgot about it. Never even watched the MPGL or anything. But then at the gym I was at a few years later, that was when the coach at the time who had owned the brigade was like, "Hey, just stay for the year." So I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot. Like I actually was going to do this a long time ago. Obviously a different version of it, but okay,
Yeah.
sure, I'll give it a go." So yeah, just through a friend.
West Chase, what a small world. That's where I live right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, when I first moved to Tampa, I lived in West Chase, and I went to it was called TNL. Now there's no TNL, and then TNL turned to Turn, and now Turn is nothing, and it's turned to West Chase. Evolution of all that. Yeah.
Yeah. For you, did you think that when you go, okay, yeah, I was looking at grid, like I'll come out. Um, did you think you would be as good as you are now, or was it just something to kind of feel the time and you're training and you just want something else to do, and however it works, it works. If you're good or great at it, awesome, but you just wanted to do something else? Or was this something like, I'm gonna dive all into this just like CrossFit and I want to be the best at this?
No, I think it's always been something of like I just want to try something new. Like I don't really have the thing of like I'm going to be the best at anything. It's more of a mentality. I'm going to give it my all and see what happens.
Yeah.
you know, but I had no expectations of being as good as I was the first year for sure. But I mean, I obviously my gymnastics background, I was able to do like triple touches and double touches and all of that stuff a lot easier than most people for year 1 and 2, right? So like year 1 and 2, I probably was the better all around athlete, but by far, I think one of the better gymnasts too, because just back then, it's like regionals in 2013, no one could do muscle ups. Grid 2000, Florida Grid League 2017, not very many people were able to do multiple double touches and triple touches and stuff in a row, and I was. So, yeah, after that first season, I totally thought I was still going to move to California, and I'm like, no, this is kind of cool. I'm going to stay. So, it is actually what kept me staying in Florida. So, yeah,
Hey,
glad I did.
it's what was the plan in California?
Um, Well, one, closer to family. I'm from Idaho, so being back on that side of the country, easier trips. Two, I've just always loved California.
I mean,
There's
I,
nothing,
I
there's
don't,
nothing
I
left in
don't,
Florida.
I don't disapprove of that move. I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's quite a like thing to do, like to go from Florida all the way across the country. I didn't know if there was just a reason, like I just want to be in Florida, or I want to go to California for X, Y, or Z, or to start a different career, or whatever the case might have been. But definitely, cool on you, because I am jealous and envious of your ability to just dive into things. I know that with CrossFit, you just dive into it. With grid, you just dive into it. You could have moved to California, and maybe you would have just dove into that. life coaching, motivational coaching. Like you're just diving into these things and you're excelling at it. But you're also diving into ownership and coaching and being a player. So, from the days of being a player in Tampa, how does that evolve to you being now the owner, coach, and player of the Palms?
Yeah, that was almost like I felt like I didn't really have another option but to own the team. So what had happened is I was part of the brigade, and then I ended up moving, and that was when I lived in St. Pete. So I ended up moving down to Fort Lauderdale. Still played for the brigade 1 year, but then the Palms opened up, and one of my friends that had lived down here was actually the original owner of the Palms. And I'm like, oh, and he really wanted me to play. And at first I said, no, like, I'm still going to be a part of the brigade, even though I see you every day. Like, sorry, like brigade or die. But he ended up convincing me. I was like, okay, I'll try. I'll play for another team this year. I played for him, but then COVID hit. And so he totally bailed. Right. And so then there was no team owner, no coach, no nothing. And I was like, well, shit, now what? So I was like, if somebody doesn't take over, like, I don't think there's going to be this extra team that was supposed to happen, So I just kind of, it's like, screw it. Let's give it a go.
Dove right into it.
Dove right into that. Yeah.
You,
that one just got handed to me on a silver platter.
At the time, were you like, shit, what am I going to do? Or did you have an idea of like, okay, let me take a minute, step back. Let me take a breather. Like, I got this. Or were you still like, oh shit, what am I going to do?
No, I had no clue. Half the time I still have no clue. But no, back then, like, no clue, literally zero clue. I was like, I'll just randomly message some people, see if I can throw a team together. And honestly, it was probably, to this day, it was one of the funnest seasons I've ever had, was that first year, because it was just so random. And I got so lucky with people who played.
I think you go into it as well. Like when something like that happens, you're like, all right, look, guys, we have zero expectations other than filling this team and like, let's just have as much fun with it as possible. And you probably, when you take that approach, you might surprise yourself on how well you might actually do. But so now you're owning this team. You are the player. Are you the coach at this point, or was coaching something where it was handed to you on a silver platter later on?
I am currently coaching, and I coached all year last year. I've always coached, but I actually did have an assistant coach who wasn't able to make it last season. So I was literally everything. But yeah, I am the player. I am the owner. I am the sponsor fulfillment. I am the team mom. I am the the coach. I am the everything. So, yeah, I mean, I just do my best with what I got, and hopefully the team has a good time. That's kind of like just what I got to go with.
Your mantra. Hey, yeah. we're gonna give it all we got, and we're gonna have a fucking great time doing it.
Yeah, but, we always have a great time, that's for sure.
So how do you balance it all? Obviously, you outside of just owning the team and playing for the team and coaching, you are training for CrossFit events like Wodapalooza. You are in the gym a lot. You are now a motivational coach, a life coach. Like, how do you balance your day with everything? And you got jabronis like me asking you to come on the podcast when you're like, dude, I got water, like, shit like that. Like, how do you do it all?
I am learning. I am still learning how to do it. It's funny you asked that, because I had to take a step back, and because I always feel like I could and should be doing more, Yeah. So like when I get those feelings, like I've this last week, actually it was like this last week and a half leading up to Wodapalooza, I'm like, shit, like I have so much, like I should be doing more. And it's like, you know what? Like, no, I'm recruiting right now. I'm trying to get sponsors right now. I'm trying to be my best athlete for Wodapalooza. I'm trying to find a coach. I'm trying to, I am, again, like, I'm a life coach. I totally went hardcore balls into that, up and quit my job of 8 years just to do that. So now it's like, it's the new year, right? So everybody's like, new year, new me. So I have a lot of clients. Like I got a lot of clients this year,
That's great.
Year. So, I had to step back and take a little reflection, because I was starting to get a little stressed out and frustrated with myself. So I'm like, you know what? You actually are playing 15 different roles right now. I was like, you're kind of crushing it, Bryleigh. You're good. Take a step back. You're fine. So that's a learning process. That's a learning curve every single day.
You always got to remember to take a step back and appreciate everything you've done, because I think a lot of people that, especially people like you who get in the midst of like doing so much, because not only do they want to do it for their self, like they enjoy doing it, but they also want to do it for other people. Like you're not just a life coach because you enjoy helping people. You're key to someone else's is success. And when you have that, you always need to take a step back and go, you know what? You are doing a good job, because you
Yeah.
may not hear that from everyone. I know coaching, I've coached forever, and sometimes coaching can be a thankless job, and not that you do it for pats on the backs, hugs, and thank yous. But it would be nice to be told, hey, I appreciate what you're doing for me every now and then. But you're balancing it all. You're doing a good job. When we look at the 2024 season, you end up an all-star again. I mean, no surprise there. You're able to kick ass and do what you do. Um, how when you look at the 2024 season, how do you think it went, as far as like what you expected it to happen and how it actually played out?
Um, it went as good as it could for sure. Like we made every single match the best it could be. Like there was very little errors or mistakes, which is kind of crazy for how small of a team we are. That's the other thing is like my team's always extremely small. Um, so everybody stepped up in ways that like unimaginable, because most of these teams have like 8 to 9 guys and 8 to 9 girls, right? Whereas Bryleigh's playing with like 5 or 6 on each side. And we like make it happen. We always make it work. Like my players are like my heart and soul. So um yeah, it went really well. Like we were a little bummed we didn't make the playoffs, but honestly, I think we if the season would have played out without the hurricane, I definitely feel like we would have. But I think the season and all my players are coming back, So
There you go.
there's that. There's always that piece. It's always a good sign when every single player comes back. So it went well. The season was super fun, and I had a lot of new players, more new players this year than I've ever had. So like just being able to like show them and like teach them like the roles and just like the camaraderie between the team itself is the sportsmanship between every single player. Um, we have we basically created a solid foundation last year going into this year. So I feel like 2024 was extremely successful.
I mean, when you talk about having rookies and having to like learn the sport, I mean, you can be able to lift the heaviest barbell, be able to do 100 bar muscle ups, ring muscle ups, triple touches, but none of that compares to the actual when you get in a match and like see the movement and the communication that is required, and like a lot of that is learned. Like it's hard to even mimic it in practice. I don't know like how your practices went, but I would, when I talk to others, like they have remote players and they're doing things, digitally, and some aren't practicing at all. And it comes down to like that communication piece and in the moment, like how snappy can you be with making quick judgments and quick movements, on top of having efficient, body movement, in all the elements. So I can see where you're coming from when you say like it went as good as it could, because like, yeah, like you're not so much rebuilding, but you're teaching rookies and building a foundation for this year coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think you did everything you could ask for. You guys gave yourselves a chance to earn a spot in the playoffs, and I will say it was probably a tough, position to be in. You had to win, and you had to win by a lot in order to have a spot. But knowing that, okay, like we have a chance, and we can do this. And the first thing you had to do was go out and win. And in that last regular season match against the Brigade, you guys won. Like you went
Yeah.
out and took care of business. I mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately, the point differential was what it was, and
Right.
you end up, one place out of being able to be in the playoffs. Is it disappointing, or is it kind of like, what? Kind of like, you take a step back and go, Bryleigh, you are doing a good job. Was it the same thing with that? Like, shit, like, let me take a step back and analyze this. Yeah, we did good. Like, we didn't hit the ultimate goal, but 7 other teams didn't hit the ultimate goal either. So
Right.
like for you, when you look back on it, were you happy and proud of the performance, in that last regular season match?
Yeah, there was zero. I was zero disappointment. My and let's be clear, my like yes, it's nice to win a championship, but like my ultimate goal is that the team has a blast every time.
Yeah.
I think second priority for me is winning, right? That hasn't happened yet for the Palms, but my ultimate goal is have a good fucking time on the grid, right?
Well, I
Be a
mean,
good sport. But yeah, no, with that last match, I mean, we were also missing we still won, right? And we were missing multiple players. Like we played with 5 girls. Heather was missing, right? So a lot of the girls had to step up in places where one of our main players was missing and we still won. So zero disappointment, like more like I was more proud of everybody for stepping up with minimal players than like that's all I could have asked for. I was very
right.
impressed with what everybody had done.
I mean, depth is great, but almost like I don't know if there's any truth. I just feel like, you would rather have smaller amount of key players that, get what it's all about, as opposed to having more players and maybe having some egos or some things that you have to like, balance on like the chemistry side of things. And for you, like, I hear this from athletes that have, I've interviewed over the past, year. They talk about, well, the reason I am continuing with grid or not continuing with a certain team, it really has nothing to do with the sport. It has everything to do with the culture and like what the team is about. They're not in line with their personal beliefs. And for you, like, I think that's key, is to maintain good players and to bring even better players in. Like, you got to have something that people are wanting to be a part of. And I think you've done a really magnificent job of being able to create that. And I say that from, everything you say, but also what other players have said about you. Like, you are honest and you're great. You're compassionate. You give everything you got to the team, and it shows. So I'm, looking forward to a 2025 season with the Palms, because I think it's going to be special for you guys. But in your eyes, what is it, that 2025 is going to offer for the Palms?
Well, first, thank you. I appreciate that. We have filled a hole that we have had since day one. Like a key role has been void, and we have it
All
now.
right. What's that role?
Male body weight.
What is that role?
Male body weight.
Okay. Male body weight. So basically, you went out and found the male version of yourself. You were just like, hey,
Better.
can you do an aerial? Can you do a lot of them? All right.
Better.
No.
Yes.
What's the process of going out and finding that person? Is it just networking with people that you know, or is it like, I am like making a conscious effort to go research and find this person?
No, you wanna know, I've tried so hard, like, just reaching out to a million. I've been turned down I've been turned down this last year than I have my entire life, I feel like. But, like, I've just never it doesn't matter how many people I ask, who I ask, like, I don't know why. I've just never been able to, like, find that extremely, extremely high level gymnast. This year, I got extremely lucky. I stayed on top of the re-sign period a lot better. And
Okay.
so as soon as the re-sign period was over, I stalked everybody's rosters and I was like, okay, so not signed, not signed, not signed, reaching out immediately. Got one.
Hey,
So
that's, I
yeah.
mean, that is, I mean, that's what professional sports do. Like,
Yeah.
like if you're looking to have someone that you don't have to worry about the rookie like curve, like, you go out and find somebody who's been in the league before, that knows the format and knows what to do, and you don't have to, not that you're not coaching them, but it's less of that, like, formatting and structure of the sport, and more about like technicality and like how to be more efficient, which is like probably the one thing about coaching that matters the most when it comes to grid. um you know but there was some pushback on Fico Gomez of the Sharks. Last year, he went and he signed a bunch of players that, weren't re-signing. And I told him I felt as though that is the best strategy to have. Why would you not want veterans that have been in the league before? And it just proves the point like this is a strategy that I think people should use because you're going out there, you're finding a hole that's been a hole for a while and you're saying, shit, I'm not fucking letting this be a problem anymore. So let me handle this now.
Yeah.
But as far as the rest of the roster for 2025, you said you're bringing everybody back. You're adding a male bodyweight specialist, but are we adding any depth? Are we adding more players to the roster, or are you sound in having what you have moving forward?
This will be the biggest team the Palms have ever had, for sure. The male side will be pretty much full. The female side, we are looking for, and we are in talks with somebody, also would be crazy, which would be just pure strength, pure female strength. We don't have a girl, like just barbell. We just need someone to touch the barbell and get some specific barbell movements that we need to be a little bit more quicker at, and that's just pure strength. So that's really the only other big hole that we have that we're looking to fill right now. But other than that, this will definitely be the biggest and best all-around roster that we've ever had, for sure.
Look at you. See, you're not fooling me with this. I just want to have fun stuff. No, like you're out there trying to get it done. I see.
We are putting a lot more time. We should put the time thing. We are making sure that this is, because that's the thing. Each year it gets more and more competitive, right? Like you said, the Sharks roll, like that was Fico's game plan was huge. Like they crushed it and they didn't practice a single time, So it's like they never once had a single practice as a team last year, and they were they are stacked, right? So it's like if we can be stacked and have practices, oof.
Man, what?
So,
What?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So 2025. What is the one thing outside of filling the roster and having some depth, like from a coaching or a personal athlete side or even an ownership side, like what is the one thing that you want to improve upon that you think will be the difference maker for the team? Like if we're saying, let's give us a chance to be in the playoffs, what's the one thing you think gets you there for 2025?
Honestly, do what we're doing, just do more of it. Like our communication and I feel like our communication as a team, like we can look at another player and be like, shit, I need help. And that other player's like, cool, I got you, So it's doing more and practicing like we did. We practiced the most we did last year. And I think that's it. Just do more of what we already did last year with a deeper roster. There's not much we need to change. A coach. I need a coach. Hello, anybody out there?
All right, y'all. Yeah. She's filling voids. Oh. Needs a coach.
Yeah, I need somebody to be in my coaches meetings for me. But honestly, just do more of what we did last year with a more in-depth roster.
It's not rocket science. Bill Belichick is famous for saying, like, I'm only good at doing the things that we've always been good at all the time, like that. Yeah. And that's the truth. Like, he's like, I'm not going to practice things that we're bad at. I'm going to be fucking dynamite at the things that we're good at.
Yeah.
And if you beat us, then you're going to have to beat us by beating us at what we're good at. And I'll tip my hat to you if you can do that. So yeah, don't make it harder than it has to be. Last question before I let you bounce. Well, I got two more questions. All right. On a personal front, life coach, motivation coach, what are you trying to build? Are you trying to what's the goal with this? Obviously you said you dove right into it. You're busier than ever, which is great. But when you got into this, what was the plan? And how can people, if they need your services, how do they reach out to you?
Well, honestly, it started because I realized I was an extremely unhappy, miserable person, and I just wanted to change myself, right? And I did it, and I'm like, I need to do this for other people because it's life-changing. Like, That is literally the only thing. Like when I went through my life coaching school and everything, like I didn't necessarily go into that thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to be a life coach. I'm going to be X, Y, and Z. Like I mainly went through that to think differently about myself, start creating some like core and personal values for myself and just go from miserable to happy. And I did it and I want to help other people do it. We live in a very weird time where people are in a rat race and just spin in circles, you know? So if I can help as many people who were like me get to someone who I am today, like I am today, that makes me wake up happy and excited. So I did, as soon as I was done, I was like, okay, I need to help other people do this and understand that it's possible regardless of past or X, Y, and Z. So as soon as I was done, I was like, okay, I'm gonna, in 6 months from now, I need to have at least a couple clients and I'm quitting my job. And I literally wrote a 2-week letter 6 months in advance. And I was like, when I wake up on August 1st, I'm sending this to my boss. And I did it. And it was the scariest email I've ever written in my life.
What
But I
were you
woke up.
doing? What were you doing at the time?
Okay, so not very many people know this. So I had a job for 8 years in sales. It was a custom headwear
Mhm.
company called Boko Gear. So that's where like all the palms get their like cool hats. So, but my goal out of college was to never work a 9 to 5 and work from home. And so I don't have to brush my hair and I can wear my underwear to work. So I did that and I had it for 8 years. And then literally it was funny because when I sent her that email August 1st, she called me immediately. She was like, I can't believe it took you 8 years to do this. Like, but yeah, so that's what I did. I was a salesperson for a custom headwear company.
Man, that's scary. I mean, everyone gets into like the trap of this is just what it is. This is my job and there's, it's the easy thing. I may not like it and I may not want to do it. I may want to do something else, but the scariness and the unknown of being able to succeed outside of this job is what holds a lot of people back. And so it gives me motivation. It gives me hope, like hearing this story, because there are, myself included, there are people out there that, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They're struggling with and grasping at straws on finding jobs, or, their life isn't, not, they may be successful, but like it's not as like in grit, it's not as efficient as it could be. And I think having someone like you there that's been through it and changed yourself, like, and it's nothing is, I'll tell this to everybody. Nothing is more gratifying than watching other people succeed, and people who have worked really hard on something, and you guide them through the process and you see them, taking leaps and bounds and steps in positive direction. So tip my hat to you. That's unbelievable work. I wish you the best in that. Like that is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I
Um,
absolutely love it. I love what I do. I go to bed happy and fulfilled, and I wake up excited to help. So, like,
eh,
it is literally, it was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, and I've made half the amount of money that I did in my last job. You know, but again, it's like it's a
yeah,
job. I can always go back. I can always find a
yep,
similar job. Like if I
yep.
don't try it, then I'm never gonna know. So it's like I got to try it, and it's like it's been the most satisfying thing I've ever done.
Very true. All right, last question, and I'm for real. This is the last one. All
If
right,
you're good, go.
you are preparing for Wodapalooza. All right, and as I go through social media, I realize that you're doing Team Wodapalooza. All
Mhm.
right, so what are the workouts? What are you looking forward to? Is it the weather? How's the weather gonna be? Like the whole nine. Give me the synopsis of what's going on this weekend.
Well, if the weather's like this, I'm quitting. No, I'm just kidding. um, yeah, this is and so elite team. We compete Saturday, Sunday, three workouts a day. Honestly, the workouts I feel like aren't nearly as bad as they've been in the past. Like I've done elite team. This will be my third time, and I feel like there is definitely one that is going to put me on the ground for 10 minutes afterwards, I feel like. But other than that, they're really not terrible. I am excited that it is in a different location. We'll see how that plays out. Not
Is
super
it
excited about the dumbbells in the sand.
is it on it's on the beach.
Yeah, and there's three different stages, but only one stage is like has sand included. So you'll have a couple workouts in the sand. which is fine, but like I feel like the programming within the sand could have been a little bit different, so you're not like throwing sand in people's faces.
Right.
But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'm not there yet. I'm not sure, but I am excited. I'm super excited.
Just
It's always
embrace
cool
it.
too to just be on the same floor as like legit game athletes.
Oh,
You know,
definitely.
like
What's the one workout you're looking forward to?
I think we'll do pretty good. I like the 1 through 10, the rope climb, clean box jump one, and then the wall ball. We should do pretty well in like the wall ball toe to bar worm one. The one I'm not looking forward to is the 3-3-4, whereas there's like a buy-in of running, rowing, and jump roping. I'm just not a very good cardioer, and that one's like a sprint for 12 minutes, 13 minutes. There's like zero rest in that, so that one's the least looking forward to.
You don't have to be the best. You just can't be the worst, right?
Oh, we might be the worst with me on that treadmill, on that runner. Like I am not a runner.
I mean, for people like I say this, if you want to be humbled, if you're a runner and you want to be humbled, get on an assault runner and tell me like what the difference is, because it's night and day.
Yeah.
I mean, good form runners may not, but I died on it the first time I got on it. And even like multiple times after that, I'm like, I don't want to run at all now. Like I was okay with running outside. Now, like I just don't want to run at all.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it gets you. It gets you. We'll see.
Well,
I'm excited. It's gonna be
what's the team name? That way we can follow you.
RX
I know how you're doing.
RX Smart Gear. It's the jump rope company. Is there as our main sponsor? So RXSG.
Nice. Yeah. Well, Bryleigh, I'm going to let you bounce. I appreciate your time today. I wish you guys the best of luck this weekend at Wodapalooza, and I wish you the best of luck with the Palms, with your life coach business, and everything that comes to you, because you work really hard and you earn everything that comes to you. So hopefully, as the season goes on, I'll reach out to you. Maybe we could bring some players on, and maybe we bring you back on and we can recap 2025. Who knows?
Cool. Let's do it. Thank you so much.
You got it. That's Bryleigh Hansen, everybody. If you like hearing Bryleigh's story, or you just like hearing Average Joe's talk X's and O's, please like, share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on X, listen and subscribe wherever you stream your podcast. Head over to YouTube, click like, click subscribe, hit notifications. That way you're one of the first people to know when we drop new content. Be prepared. Next week, we are doing a series on the Palm Beach Breakers. Reached out to Matt Hornaday, the owner. He has some new faces. He wants to get them out there. I want to talk to them. I want to see what they're looking forward to, what their goals and expectations are as new rookies of the Grid League. But we're also going to throw in some vets in there as well, so don't be alarmed. But on Monday, we're going to be talking to Billy and Andrew Dodd. On Tuesday, we got Nate Cobb and Haley. We've got Thursday, Matt Hornaday is going to be back with Matt Evans. And then on Friday, we got Evan Newman and Josh Newell again. So with that, this has been the In Off the Bench Podcast Network Grid and Grind Show. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We are out.